What's up, everybody? Omar here from insaga.com in Brampton, in Halton, in the Hammer, in Durham, and in Niagara now. Did you know that, Mr. Alghabra?
I'm really impressed. First of all, it's great to be back with you, Khaled. And I've always been watching the growth of Insaga over the years, and I just hats off to you and your team for the growth and the type of information and the service you provide to our communities.
Thank you, Mr. Alghabra. I'm here with the Transportation Minister, Omar Alghabra. I have a bunch of questions for you. We'll get right at it. Okay, so what can travelers expect from the holiday season at Pearson Airport?
Okay, well, look, let me say that the memories of a difficult and a busy summer still linger with me, and the frustration that I felt on behalf of myself and the travelers who endured waiting lines or canceled flights during the summer. We saw, as we restarted the travel after COVID public health measures, that the demand exceeded the ability to provide services by airlines and airports. We went to work quickly with the airlines and airports to provide relief. And I was pleased to see that things have improved tremendously quickly. And I would tell you right now that the performance indicators that I watch every day are similar to what they were pre-COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. However, there are some lessons that we learned from what happened over the summer. And in fact, on November 24th, I am hosting an air summit with stakeholders that includes airlines, airports, and other companies that provide services in the sector, to come together and say, okay, guys, what have we learned and what can we do together to improve fundamentally and structurally the system so we never have to go back to those days. So we are preparing. Christmas is typically a very busy season. So, I'm on regular conversation with airlines, airports, and Transport Canada, making sure that we don't go back to those challenging days of the summer.
Awesome. Okay, we also wrote about in a couple days ago, Pearson introduces Express this week, expecting travelers to kind of book security checks. Will this help, the backlog? I guess not backlog, but will it help the lineups?
Well, look, Transport Canada is working with a couple of airports on implementing some pilot programs to figure out how can we improve the experience for travelers, the efficiency of processing travelers. This pilot program is one of those programs to test it out. I'm looking forward to learning about the outcome, but yes, the idea is to make it more convenient for travelers so they can schedule the time, so they know when they need to go there, so they don't have to wait too long in line. So yes, I'm hoping that this pilot will provide us with information, and hoping it will make the experience for travelers a lot more pleasant.
Yeah, but I find it funny. It's like you're calling to get annoyed, and but you're booking anyways. You're booking security. So this is a fairly serious question here. What's going on? Is Canada, the feds, doing anything in regards to the Pivot airline crew out of Dominican Republic that have been there for 7 months?
Yeah, look, I've been following this issue since it started. I met with Pivot Airline CEO, and I spoke directly with him about my personal commitment to doing everything I can to help bring Canadians back home safely. I am really concerned about the ongoing situation. Obviously, look, the Dominican Republic claims that there are ongoing investigation. But what my concerns are is that there's really questions about the due process that Canadians who are there being subjected to. I have questions that it's not fair, that it's not transparent. I met with the Dominican Republican ambassador here in Canada. I told her that we're all watching this and we have concerns. And I told her that if this is not resolved quickly, yes, we want an investigation, but we need it done transparently and fairly. And if it's not done that way, not only Canada, but the entire world is going to start having questions about landing commercial planes in the Dominican Republic. So it will have a massive damage to their reputation. And Canadians travel quite a bit to the Dominican Republic. So I could tell you that myself, that Minister Joly, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, that the Prime Minister himself has raised this case with the Dominican Republican authorities. We're following it closely, and we're going to pursue every political and diplomatic tools that we have in our disposal to support Canadians who are stuck there, because I will not rest until we see them back home safely with their families.
Okay. The province has announced plans to eventually connect the Eglinton Crosstown LRT to Pearson. Will the feds get involved in this because Pearson is involved?
Yeah, in fact, just earlier this year or late last year, now I announced that we're providing $20 million to the airport to complete that engineering study. So absolutely, we are providing financial support to see that reality happen, because we believe connecting the airport to public transit is very critical for our economy, but also for combating climate change and reducing emissions.
Awesome. And a very Mississauga subject here, the LRT loop. I know we talked a few months, probably about 6 months ago now, in regards to how you would still, partner up with the province if Doug Ford had, kind of said, hey, we'll bring back the LRT loop. Is this still on the table with the feds to work with the Premier?
Yeah, Khaled, thank you for giving me the opportunity to repeat my personal commitment and our government's commitment. We very much would like to partner with the Ford government on reinstating that loop. It makes a lot of sense. I was disappointed when the Ford government announced that it's eliminating that loop. However, I was, heartened when I, earlier in the year when they renamed or named the LRT, the Hazel-McCallion line. I felt that the Premier had alluded to reinstating the loop, although he hasn't made a commitment yet. So I want to tell your viewers that we are more than willing to partner with the provincial government on funding that loop. On top of that, I made also an announcement. I know you may, or maybe you were going to ask me about the Milton line, the GO line. Yes, the GO line. It is my personal, commitment that I want to see that line become all-day two-way. We are still, we provided hundreds of millions of dollars at the table. The province has yet to come to the table with an arrangement. I'd be more than happy to work with the Ford government on making that dream a reality.
Awesome. Just to go back to the LRT loop, have you talked to the Premier in regards to the loop, and is Mississauga getting it back? Because obviously you're in Mississauga, and the bridge has already started over for the 403. So have you talked to the Premier?
I haven't had a chance to speak with him personally on the loop, but I've spoken with my provincial colleagues who represent Mississauga, who are part of the Ford government, about that desire. I have spoken to the Ontario Minister of Transportation, Mr. Maroney. I've repeated it on occasion publicly. When I see him next, I will be able to personally say that to him. I really hope that they reinstate that loop, because it will make a lot of sense for the city of Mississauga.
Awesome. Can I just throw this out there, because I from Mississauga and all. Can the feds just pay for it and just say, hey, we'll just pay for everything? Hey, can we just do it then?
It's a provincial jurisdiction, and that's what makes our system complicated, but at the same time work. So we have to respect the Constitution, and it is up to the provinces to design and build public transit. But the federal government is at the table in providing not only financial support, but moral support and persuasion and maybe even public discussion about this. But at the end of the day, we're really limited to what we can do within our jurisdiction.
Awesome. Okay, and then just go back to the Milton line, the two-way GO. all day go. When do you think this can happen? I've just been hearing this about this a lot.
You know, I mean, look, let's be honest. This would be a big project and it would take years to construct. But those years would not be, you know, they won't start until the provincial government agrees to do so. So one way of making the period of time that it's going to take to build this project shorter is making a decision to do it. So the federal government has made a commitment to provide, as I said, hundreds of millions of dollars of support to make it happen. But to this day, we have not seen a commitment from the province. They understand, in my conversation with them, they understand how important this project is. They see the wisdom in it, but they have yet to offer a commitment to proceeding with it.
Okay. And then what's the latest on the CN intermodal hub in Milton?
So that is a CN project, and they're doing now consultation with communities on how to mitigate and you know, access to it, from trucking to other type of construction requirement. So it's an ongoing process that CN is responsible for.
Okay. And you are a Mississauga Centre MP. So yesterday there was a fall economic statement. What is in there for Mississauga?
Look, first, let me just say that the last 2.5 years have been really unprecedented. And I know we use that word a lot over 2.5 years. It's beginning to lose its meaning, but it's true, it's still true. We've seen economic disruptions that were caused by COVID. And then after that, on top of that, we had the war in Ukraine, all caused significant economic disruption. And we're seeing imbalance in our economy where demand is out of whack when it comes to supply. We're seeing inflation, rising cost of living around the world. Just so you and your viewers know, by the way, inflation in the US, in Germany, in the UK, in the EU zone, in Australia is all higher than it is in Canada. But it's still high in Canada, and Canadians are feeling it when they go to the grocery stores, or when they go to the gas station, or when they, you know, try to buy appliances or home hardware goods. So what we've done is we are providing support, and you know, today, Friday, people are going to receive GST, doubling the GST rebate in their either bank account or in their mailbox. We're also have been providing some other type of financial support. So we've cut the child care fees in half. We've increased the Canada Child Benefit to inflation. We are now providing, we're working on providing families with children to provide them dental support so they can go to the dentist. Those are all add up to thousands of dollars. But on top of that, the fiscal economic update provided a new measure to help first-time home buyers, either young people or I guess newcomers to Canada, first-time home buyers, bank saving account, so they can have a saving account where they can save their down payment tax-free. On top of that, we are doubling the first-time home buyer tax credit, so now it's up to $1,500 that will help them with closing fees, with furniture, with whatever, you know, buying a home can come with a lot of associated costs. We're coming down on speculators. So those who flip houses are going to now start paying taxes if they buy a house and flip it immediately. So they can't hide under the principal residence, and they don't have to pay taxes. That way will reduce pressure on the real estate market. And there's also tax incentive for companies to attract investment. So we're launching the Canada Growth Fund that will attract foreign investments and additional investment. We are launching tax credit for clean tech, so to help companies invest more. But by the way, here's the kicker for people in Mississauga and workers across the country. The tax credit for clean tech increases if there are certain criteria met to compensate their workers fairly. So there is an incentive for employers to pay their workers better so they can benefit more from that tax credit. Also, large companies lately, they've been buying back their shares because they have a lot of cash on hand. We're telling these large corporations, if you're going to spend your own cash on buying back shares, you're going to have to pay an extra tax because obviously you have extra cash and you're not using it to invest in the business. However, why don't you, the idea here is to encourage them to use that cash to invest in their business, to invest in paying their workers instead of investing in buying back their shares. So there's a lot of measures in the fiscal economic update, but let me tell you, overall, the objective is to be prudent, to have targeted measures to help those who need it the most, but without adding more fuel on inflation. And we are positioning our economy to be smart, to be resilient, and to be ready for a potential slowdown that some economists are predicting. So
that was a lot of info.
Yes, I know, and I may have gone too fast, but I wanted to give as much information as possible. And look, let me just say, overall, again, we continue to go through an uncertain period of time. So on the one hand, we want to tell Canadians the truth. It continues to be difficult, and it may still be difficult for a while, but we want them to know that Canada has currently the lowest deficit in the G7, the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. We have all the fundamentals to weather the storm, and that the government has a smart, targeted, prudent plan to help Canadians weather the storm and come out stronger than ever.
Awesome. So, okay. That was a lot of info. I got it all. All right. It's all recorded. Okay. Okay. Well, couple of fun questions here. Last restaurant you visited in Mississauga? Because we haven't talked about 6 months.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. That's a good question. I haven't, let me just think.
Well, let me throw another question at you because I've been following you on Instagram. Obviously, you've traveled all over Canada. Yes. What are some of the most breathtaking places you've visited?
In my opinion, the most beautiful place in Canada is Mississauga. But
good answer.
but look, setting that aside, the second most beautiful in Canada, place in Canada is Banff. Banff is just a beautiful natural place that you can go there and be in awe of the awesome nature that exists there. So I can tell you it's a beautiful place. I haven't been there in a couple of years. I hope to be able to go back there soon.
Awesome. And I'm just going to start off by what we talked about before. I went to Vancouver, I brought my passport, then I washed my passport. I'm just wondering, why isn't a passport waterproof, Mr. Alghabra? It's completely ruined.
I guess, those who designed the passport didn't think that someone was going to throw the passport in the washer. So I'll take that feedback.
Yeah. You can throw a loonie in the wash. It's fine. Anyways, okay. Mr. Alghabra, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Khaled. It's great to speak with you.